Hi, welcome to Cause of Our Joy with me, Elizabeth. As women, we experience life through cycles that are regulated by hormonal changes that impact the little and big things in our life, like our emotions, our digestion, our understanding of who we are, and even who we are attracted to. Understanding your cycle and where you are in your cycle right now can unlock a deeper understanding of why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, food cravings that you might have, and why you're struggling to be productive. So let's go back to health class and actually learn about one of the most important aspects of being a woman. Now, there are four major phases in our menstrual cycle, and the first phase is actually menstruation. So, this is definitely what you're most familiar with. Menstruation dictates the very beginning of your cycle when your uterus sheds the inner lining called the endometrium. That is what we know as our period. You may feel like you're just bleeding constantly, but your uterus is supposed to flush that out gently. If not, see my other videos. Last detail to note about your menstrual phase: the healthy menstrual phase lasts from 3 to 7 days. So, if you are experiencing bleeding for longer, that's something to take note of. And you can, again, watch my other videos to learn about what that meant for me. The second phase is the follicular phase. So, the follicular phase is actually happening as your menstrual phase is happening too. So, again, your menstrual phase happens for the first 3 to 7 days of your cycle. And at that same time, your follicular phase is beginning too. This will last from day one of your cycle until typically the average woman would be around day 13 or 14 of your cycle. And this means that your body is developing follicles on your ovaries, and one of these follicles will develop into a fully matured egg. Typically, every woman at the time of her birth is born with 200 to 3,000 follicles waiting to be developed into eggs. The follicular phase is also the time where that endometrium, that lining that we just shed in our period, starts to be rebuilt again. Now, the third phase is the absolute shortest phase of your cycle, and that is ovulation. This is when the follicle actually opens up and releases that egg into your fallopian tubes so that if there is an opportunity, you can conceive a baby. Again, this is the shortest phase of your cycle. It's typically like a 12 to 18-hour period. And from there, your cycle finishes out with the fourth and final phase, which is the luteal phase. The luteal phase is when your body rolls out the metaphorical and literal red carpet for your baby. That lining of your uterus, called the endometrium, becomes the perfect palace, full of rich food and nourishment to give any possible baby that implants in the endometrium 7 days after conception. So your baby has everything possible that he or she needs to grow. Also, to prepare for any future baby, that follicle that just released your egg into the fallopian tube stays on your ovary, becomes like a little mini organ called a gland, known as the corpus luteum in Latin, aka yellow body, which is cute because it's when the egg opens up, they call it an egg yolk because that's what it looks like. And that corpus luteum sets up shop in your ovary, and it makes sure that it regulates your progesterone and your estrogen to maintain that perfect endometrial lining. The placenta later develops so that the baby can receive nourishment directly from you, their mother. When there is no baby that is conceived and implanting in your uterus, that gland, that corpus luteum, stops producing progesterone and estrogen, and that signals to your pituitary gland, which is in charge of hormonal production for your entire body, to stop producing high levels of progesterone to start your cycle all over again. In summary, your cycle is all about preparing your body for creating and growing a baby. And this should be a reminder to you that your entire existence is dependent on so many factors. And as I was doing a deep dive to actually make this breakdown for you, I realized that there are so many variables that had to come together to make it possible for you, like specifically you, to even exist in the first place. So that makes this whole process and you a miracle. And now that I have children myself, I really see how absolutely beautiful the process is. And it makes your period worth it, you know? I just want to take a second to thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please give it a like. And if you're watching this and wondering why your cycles don't seem to be functioning like the four phases that I just described, download my free cycle tracker, which is linked below. And that will help you prayerfully discern what's going on with your cycles. Or you can watch this video right here where I share my journey with painful periods and endometriosis. See you there.